Hello, goddesses. Welcome to MenoLabs Live. Have you ever missed work or reduced your hours due to your perimenopause and menopause symptoms? If so, you're not alone. A Mayo Clinic study of over 4,000 women found that more than 1% left their job due to either quitting or being laid off due to their perimenopause and menopause symptoms. That's crazy, right? Today, we want to change that. Our goal is to empower women to stay in their careers or start new careers with confidence during this stage in their life. Let's talk about how we can make the workplace work for us. As always, this session should not be considered medical advice and is being provided for information purposes only. It is not intended to substitute professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Please consult with your healthcare provider should you have any questions or concerns. So excited to get this show started. I want to invite our guests in. There's going to be a bit of a delay, so I'd love it if you'd let us know what stage of menopause you're in. That could be pre-peri, peri, meno-post-menopause. I'd like to start this off by saying I'm in proudly in peri. I just said post-peri. I'm definitely not post-peri, but I am proudly in peri, so I'm excited to share that. I'm going to invite in our guest now. There we go. Hi, Dr. Maggie.
Hi, good morning.
How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you? It's good to see you.
Really good to see you too. We're both coming back from spring break. Welcome
Yes.
back.
Thank you.
We're just waiting for our guest, Allison. She should be on in a second. There she is. I'm going to invite her in. And let's just see if this can easily happen. We did practice this a couple of weeks ago, so we should be good. Yes, I see her joining. Yay, Allison, welcome. So my name is Natasha. I am the community manager for MenoLabs. So excited to introduce you all to our brand partner, Dr. Maggie. Dr. Maggie, welcome. And then our special guest, Allison Lewin. Welcome, Allison. Ladies, what are you drinking? Dr. Maggie, let's start with you.
Okay, well, I actually have coffee today and water.
Water.
Double fisted.
And then Allison, what are you drinking?
I have water and always with lots of ice and lemon. So that's how I start my morning.
Look at us. We all have water. I have water too, but I put electrolytes. I got onto electrolytes because of Dr. Maggie. I do it all the time now. So I'm proud to say that. We're going to start it off now. I'm proud to share that our parent company, Dr. Reddy's, has really prioritized menopause awareness with 2 trainings in the last 2 years. Unfortunately, other companies aren't taking on this initiative, and that's why this conversation is so important. Allison, I wanted to welcome you to the community and ask you if you could share what you're doing to help corporations support women during perimenopause and menopause with your company. I'm going to butcher this. Tell me if I'm saying this right. MenoLabs.
That's perfect. First of all, congratulations to you all for supporting menopause in the workplace. There's many things that I do to support women in this time of life. I have my own company, MenoLabs, as you mentioned, where I do coaching, education, support, really help women across the entire journey, usually on a one-on-one basis, but sometimes in small groups or in speaking engagements. I'm also partnered with another company headquartered in the UK called Over the Bloody Moon, but a global company. And we do workplace intervention and support. We have some really cool tools like the MenoVest, that is a hot flash simulator to help really make this real for people who are not experiencing menopause. So you get a little slice of what it's like to be like in our bodies. Yeah. And then I do a lot of advocacy work. So I work with women's health advocates and the Women's Health Political Action Committee to really advocate for policy changes at the federal level, at the state level, to, again, provide better support and, make sure women have the resources they need during midlife as they're, working through their professional career.
I love everything you're doing. And I have to also say that Dr. Reddy's worked with Over the Bloody Moon last year. So it was really exciting to have that MenoVest experience. Really cool opportunity. Why should companies support women during perimenopause and menopause? I really want to get down to the benefits to the company. How are they benefiting from this?
Yeah, first let me just talk about the women. So many women, 29% of the workforce is women who are in a stage of menopause. So that's a huge percentage. And women, 75% of them work through their menopause and 85% of them have symptoms that can be from mild to severe. So women really need the support. So it's the right thing to do. And often these women in midlife are some of the most valuable employees, have great history, knowledge, wisdom, are leaders in their company. So it really benefits companies to retain retain these employees. And during the menopause transition, women, really, by virtue of support, can increase their productivity, can reduce absenteeism, spend less, fewer sick days away from the office, spend less, on healthcare costs and insurance. And also, companies, if they retain these workers, they're going to spend less on recruiting new employees. Retaining those really valuable midlife women really is a win-win for everybody. So it really, helps the company in retaining these women, and helps the women, be their best at work.
So if we want women to be best at work, how can managers and HR representatives help create a menopause-friendly workplace?
Yeah, it's really honestly about the conversation. So menopause is still unfortunately very stigmatized, and there's the ageism factor, and just that it's part of our reproductive process, which we don't like to talk about in the workplace. So really having the conversation, both the employee who may be suffering from symptoms, going to his or her manager and talking about what's going on, how I'm feeling, how it may be affecting me, and really brainstorming with our manager potential support mechanisms that could help them be their best, whether that's working from home one day a week, whether it be having time for doctor's appointments. So starting that conversation. And if the manager may think they have an employee who is going through menopause, it's starting that conversation. And don't say, oh, I think you're in menopause, what's going on? It's more, I notice things are different. I just want to make sure that we're communicating and you're telling me how you're feeling, what I can do to support you. So the most important thing is destigmatizing the topic, having a conversation, and supporting the employee, and making sure that you're, as a menopausal woman, just really direct and tell people what's going on.
I think
you don't want them to assume.
Yeah. I think it also goes back to experts like you and teams like Over the Bloody Moon coming in and sharing these resources so people could feel comfortable doing it too, because it could be a little uncomfortable for each person to kind of engage in this conversation. But we'll talk a little bit more about that later.
Well, a lot of people just don't realize, whether it be women who haven't gone through the transition or men, they're just not aware. So the more they know and understand, the more they can look for the signals, and the more they can jump into support.
That's such a good point too. Dr. Maggie, speaking of symptoms, what challenges do patients commonly report that affect their productivity at work? So what are your patients saying that's getting in the way of their work success?
Well, brain fog is the big one.
It's a big one.
Brain fog. So cognitive changes and mood changes. Way more than hot flashes and night sweats. It's the brain changes. And I guess I just want to say, these are untreated menopause symptoms, right? That are really interfering with our productivity. So raising this awareness that understanding what's going on so we can seek the treatment so it's not interfering too.
Definitely. I feel like a lot of women too, instead of thinking of brain fog, they start getting worried that they're getting dementia or something like that too. So that's also goes back to awareness and then getting that support that they need.
Absolutely.
Allison, why are women leaving the workplace during perimenopause and menopause? You kind of talked about this, but what's making them kind of run away instead of staying and, figuring out how to work through it?
I mean, if you talk about just brain fog, think about the loss of self-confidence that can happen when you can't remember the statistics that you need to quote at a meeting, or you're in a meeting and you're sweating and having hot flashes and you're embarrassed about it, or you need to take time off to tend to your menopause symptoms or go to doctor appointments. So women are kind of losing their self-esteem and confidence and just feel like they can't do it. And a lot of times it's because they're not either seeing a menopause expert to really get better treatment. They're not getting the support in the workplace. If those things are really in place, women can fare a whole lot better. Again, the more we talk about it, the more we open it up, the more we provide resources and options so women know they have places to go and things they can lean on.
Now, going back to talking about it, Allison, what are some conversation starters for discussing menopause at work? Something kind of like icebreakers, let's say, so it makes it a little easier to talk about this, because I know this can be kind of the harder part to start it off, and then you feel a little more comfortable to kind of share more information.
Yeah. You may just go to your boss or set up a meeting or a one-on-one and say, hey, I haven't been feeling my best, or you may have noticed that I may have been a little bit off. I want to explain to you why. I don't know how much you know about perimenopause and menopause. I'm happy to share information with you so you can get up to speed. But that's really what it's been. But know that I am proactively seeking treatment and getting help. And it's usually short-term in duration. Some of these these, changes, and I just need a few areas of additional support, and again, brainstorm about what things might the company be able to do to accommodate your needs, so that again, you can feel comfortable, you can be at your best, and your manager knows, hey, what's going on? Because again, like I said, you don't want people to jump to conclusions that are unfounded. And usually when people understand it, it's hormonal, it's biological, it's natural, and it's only going to last a certain period of time, and that you are trying to make yourself better. They're like, oh, anything you need, I want to be there.
That's so true. Let's talk about, we're always talking about the Perry Toolkit, and is that
Sorry,
your
so
cat?
my cat.
That is so good. Oh my gosh, I thought I saw a tail, but I wasn't sure. I was like, what did I just see down there? Okay,
She
sorry.
was scratching at the door, so I let her in, and now her tail's in the camera. Anyway,
That's the best. This is real life. I love that. We're all about talking about the Perry Toolkit, so I wanted to dive into the Perry Work Toolkit. So, Dr. Maggie, what lifestyle changes can help women manage symptoms at work?
Yeah, so there's definitely some really helpful strategies. And I think I just want to preface this. I think I'll just be a broken record here, just to know that, no, it's just really important just to be aware and change our mindset regarding this. Because when we experience the brain fog, like you said, like a lot of women think they're going through dementia, getting early Alzheimer's. They're not. This is like a temporary change.
Yes.
So that when we can understand that and we can take the fear away, we can approach this with so much more empowerment.
Definitely.
And then doing these little hacks are just like fun little strategies we know we need to do. But like when we come into it with a place of fear, it can just make the whole experience so much more challenging and scary and like demoralizing. So, I mean, like I'm in Perry, I have to do my tricks too.
Yeah.
Even though I'm treating my symptoms, like I'm feeling really good, like I still need to do these little strategies, but I feel really good and empowered about it. And I think that's just like a shift of mindset I want, people to hear. But okay, so things that I think can be really helpful. So just having a notebook, whether it's paper or digital, and write everything down. Not just your to-do list, but even if someone says, okay, can you do this? I know what the workforce is like where people walk by, give a request, write everything down and feel really good about that. Have a to-do list. I think having a name journal is really good. Either a separate notebook, where you just write down everybody's name. And then also like their partner's name and their children's names. Cause wow, it feels really good to show up and see someone and like remember their name, use their partner's name, use their kids' names.
Yes.
It can make you just feel so much more confident and just, it makes the other people feel good. It's a better connection. So writing those names down, definitely hydration is so important. So like, always having your water nearby, it really can help with brain focus, like staying hydrated. So many people don't start drinking water till, I don't know, after lunch, but like starting your day hydrated, sipping throughout the day can really help with our focus. And having some like easy access snacks, like I just think if you want to have like blood sugar stabilizing food. So I know around the office there's like a lot of sweets and treats. There just are, and so avoiding them if you can, just to at least during the workday, because you want to be at your best. Like we, even in my health integrative medical center, will have like things sometimes, and like I just won't do it. It's like an absolute no. Maybe at the end of the day, but not right now, because I really need to feel good. And it just has to be that shift of mindset that we really need to like do these little strategies so we can show up as our best self.
Definitely.
Those are such great suggestions. And I always tell women to have a backup plan, like you said, the protein snacks or having little snacks, but having, change of clothes in case you have heavy bleeding.
Yeah.
Having sanitary protection products, extra ones, at the ready. Just being prepared, a light shirt if you go to work with a sweater in case you're just like sweated out. So just be prepared.
Yeah, I love all of those, because usually people just think I need a fan or something like that. But like you're saying, Allison, I mean, there's heavy periods that happen, flash periods, and I couldn't even imagine. What do? You don't want to have to leave work every time that happens. So it's good to just be prepared. So I love those. Allison, I also have a question to you about benefits. Like, what would you recommend that a woman should expect as benefits from her company?
Yeah, I think definitely at a minimum, they should cover the cost of your visits to a menopause expert. Unfortunately, only about 20% of OB/GYNs have expertise in menopause. So one just quick recommendation, the Menopause Society, menopause.org, has a directory of providers that are certified in menopause expertise. but definitely the menopause provider, simply, medications or therapies that you may need to make you feel your best. So certainly hormone replacement therapy, but it may be complementary medications, either prescriptions or things like acupuncture or hypnotherapy, or cognitive behavior therapy alternatives. It's great if a company has nutrition counseling, because it's so important to eat right. And as Dr. Maggie was saying, you need to make sure that you're eating appropriately for this time in your life. But also just, in terms of resources, have information on your portal about menopause so people can get the education they need. If you have an ERG or women's support group, it's great to utilize that for these conversations, because women feel so much more supported when they feel like, oh, other people are experiencing the same thing I am. I'm not alone. I'm not as isolated as I once was. And just, again, promoting the conversation, doing the education like Dr. Reddy's has in the workplace so people are more familiar, and talking with your peers, your coworkers, your boss. Just keep talking.
Yeah. Speaking of keep talking and ERGs, going back to Dr. Reddy's, we have an ERG. And just from our experience, how do you get more people inclined to share in these ERGs? Because, it's one thing to be able to share the information and just, prompt them with that kind of stuff. But how do you get people to actually get involved? Have you had that experience with other companies?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, in talking with groups on menopause, it usually takes just one person to open up and share something vulnerable. Like, oh my God, my sex life is not what it once was.
Yes.
Or, oh my God, like how many times can I misplace my keys? And if you are vulnerable and kind of speak to some of the challenges you're having, you will see like automatically other women will pipe in and say, oh my God, it's the same thing. Honestly, it happens to some women during their monthly cycles. So you might even get people who aren't in menopause saying, I experience hormonal changes, and oh, wow, it's so great to hear that I'm not the only person. So I just promote being as vulnerable and direct as you can, as often as you feel comfortable.
That's so true. How can women advocate for better menopause support in the workplace? Let's see if we're starting from scratch and there's nothing being done. How can women kind of, I don't want to say pressure or push, but get their company to get more involved and support these women?
Yeah, I think it's talking to your manager, but also talking to your HR counterpart to say, hey, your company may have fertility benefits, or obviously pregnancy and postpartum benefits. Let's kind of see this through the whole life cycle of our reproductive processes, and just extend this to whatever percentage of women in your workforce may be at that stage of life. And so I think it's really talking with HR. If you have, a group that manages diversity and inclusion, I know that isn't as popular these days, but talk to those folks, start the conversation, and again, see what types of accommodations and what flexibility your organization may have. You could suggest, like, could we put together some policies or some suggestions, a toolkit that women can use, just so it's at the ready. And again, you can resource external organizations like Over the Bloody Moon that have these resources already prepared, so they can come in and just really implement them quickly.
And I just thought of another thing with the ERGs. It's also good to keep it open to everyone. So we have men that can join.
Yeah.
Younger women who aren't in perimenopause or menopause can join. So we keep the conversation open, as you said, and everyone's learning about this stage.
And just invite your friends, even if they're not in menopause. Say, hey, you want to be prepared?
Yeah,
we'll be having this conversation. And I find overall, partners, husbands, brothers, fathers, men want to understand. They just really have no clue. And the more they can understand, the better they can, again, support and just acknowledge that this can be really challenging. So I think most guys really want to do the right thing, and they really appreciate, hearing more about it.
Yeah, I think we got that feedback too when we did the Over the Bloody Moon experience with the MenoVest. It was really great to get that perspective from the men, the managers, and how they can now reflect on not just our employees, but also their wives and spouses. So that was really great feedback as well.
Yeah, because the tools that you may be learning and the education you may be getting in the workplace, that translates to your home life as well. So you can improve the relationship you have with your partner by virtue of having these great conversations at work.
Definitely. I'm going to see if there are any questions from our community. I've been seeing people writing. So let's see if there's any questions. And if you guys have any questions for our experts today on menopause in the workplace, please let us know. So far, it doesn't look like we have any. We're coming to a close to the show. If you guys have anything else you'd like to say before we close out, Allison, I'd love for people to find out where they can find you on your website, on social, and all of that. But if you have any other closing remarks, we do have time for that as well.
Yeah, I just think this is a really fantastic time in our society where menopause has kind of come out of the closet. More celebrities are talking about it. New York Times, Fortune, many publications are writing about it. So I just think embrace it. Like, it's a good conversation starter. Hey, I saw Halle Berry at the Capitol, shouting out that she's in menopause. So I think there's just so much great information out there that's bringing it out of the closet, destigmatizing the conversation. So, all of us can play a part in promoting that in the workplace and in our personal lives. So I just encourage people to do that.
Definitely.
And then back to your question about where people can find me, my company, Menowar, www.menowar.net. And I'm Menowar Official on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn.
Great. Thank you so much. And Dr. Maggie, do you want to plug Hello Perry? Since we have
sure.
time.
Yeah, I guess I'll do my closing remarks and then I'll plug.
Of course.
Yeah, so this is a menopause in the workforce matters to everyone. It's a huge loss of money to corporations. They want to retain us.
Definitely.
It's also for us, we're living longer. Like we can't retire some of us can, but like financially, most of us need to keep working longer so we can live longer and have the money. Yeah, I mean, it really matters. The brain changes, because that is really what affects so many people, even the hot flashes and night sweats, but it's temporary. And we know from studies that like after the menopause transition, when you're kind of a couple years after and things where our body adjusts, is the happiest. Like the studies show that we are the happiest. So again, if we can approach this, again, it's this little shift in mindset that we are embracing it. Like Allison said, like embracing this time, treating it, not just like accepting it as a new normal, but treating it, we can truly thrive and benefit everyone because we are an asset. Like our businesses want to keep us. We're really not replaceable. So I just wanted to add with that. And there's always resources and we want to help and support everyone so they can really thrive everywhere. And then, yes, I am Dr. Maggie Nay. For anyone who doesn't know me, I love doing my work with MenoLabs. And then I work at the Akasha Center for Integrative Medicine, which is in Santa Monica, in person and telehealth. And then I started a side business with my dear friend and brilliant marketer, Elisa Casimir. We started a business called the Hello Perry. So you can find us on Instagram at the Hello Perry. And it's really just giving a lot of resources for women going through the menopause transition. So follow me there for all more information.
Yes, such a great resource. So definitely reach out to these ladies if you want to help get your company going on this journey to menopause awareness. And if you have any questions that weren't answered today, please reach out to our customer care at menolabs.com. Thank you, Dr. Maggie. Thank you, Allison, for joining us today. Thank you, viewers. We really appreciate you being here with us. Please join us for our next show, May 20th. We'll be talking about sexual wellness during perimenopause and menopause. As always, the session should not be considered medical advice and is being provided for information purposes only. It is not intended to substitute professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Please consult with your healthcare provider should you have any questions or concerns. Thank you again and have a wonderful day. Thank you, ladies.
Thanks, Natasha.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.